move away from Thruxton to Oulton Park in Cheshire, where we use the island layout. It's weekend 5 of 10 and it's taken place around this 2.26 mile circuit. Let's join the BTCC trackside commentary team to take you through this second free practice session.
In the session, see if they push on and get quicker in this one, because you would sense there'd be more kind of qualifying type runs, dummy type runs here ahead of qualifying this afternoon, because this is their last chance to get set up. And of course you've got to get the car set up and try and work out how the tyres are going to behave over the course of a race distance, but you need to be up there somewhere near the front of the grid, especially here at Oulton Park, to have a chance. And when we get to qualifying, remember the new qualifying format this afternoon, so it's almost going to be an hour-long session in the end, split over 3 different sessions of qualifying. It starts at 3:35, it will go on till 4:30 in the new quick 6 qualifying format, and this will have an effect on it, because after free practice 2 the cars get divided into 2 groups. So the cars that end free practice 2 in odd numbered positions, so if you're fastest in FP2, if you're third quickest, if you're fifth, if you're seventh and so on, you end up in one group, and the drivers that end up in an even numbered position in FP2, i.e. your second quickest or your fourth or your sixth or your eighth, they end up in the other group. So that determines which group you're in. So 2 groups of 10, both groups in qualifying 1 run separately. So group 1 have a 10-minute session, group 2 have a 10-minute session. The top 6 from each of those groups goes through to qualifying 2, so then we'll have 20 whittled down to 12, and then those 12 all go together in another 10-minute session, qualifying 2, and the fastest 6 of those go through to Q3, or the quick 6 final qualifying session, and then they'll have another 10-minute session to determine the order of the top 6 in the quick 6 shootout. And of course qualifying sets the grid for the first race of the weekend in all British Touring Car Championship race meetings, and then after that it's race results that set the grid for the rest of the races. Race 1 result sets the grid for race 2, the race 2 result sets the grid for race 3, but with a partially reversed grid depending on which number between 6 and 12 is drawn out of the hat. So the cars, some of them stay out, some of them come straight back into the pit lane. And a reminder that we've got the return of this year for pretty much all of the rounds, although we didn't have it at Thruxton because it's always just the hard compound tyre that's used there, but you've got the option tyres, the prime tyres. So the prime tyre you use for 2 races, the option tyre you use for 1, and it's the first time this season that we've had the combination of soft and hard. So it's been soft and medium up until now, and in fact a lot of the time it's just been wet tyres anyway, but it's soft and hard compound tyre. So the soft is the prime, it's quicker, it's stickier, it's grippier, but it won't last as long, and there are hotter conditions that we've had all year long, so that could be a factor in the races. The hard tyre will be slower, and Mickey Butler from Goodyear Provide All the Tyres reckon it could be at least a second a lap difference between the soft tyre, being the quicker tyre, and the hard tyre. So you get 12 tyres prime, soft, and 4 tyres, 1 set of hard to use over the races and qualifying. But you also get 1 set of mediums that you can use for free practice only. This is worth bearing in mind. You know they've got the hard tyre on because you've got the red sidewall on the tyres, but you don't expect to see any of those when we get to qualifying later on today. That is not going to happen. So for qualifying, it'll be the quicker format tyres that we get. So 35 minutes of free practice. We'll find out who ends up in what group, but we'll also find out who is expected to go well in qualifying. We've got a bit of an idea from free practice 1. I think we'll get a lot more of an idea from this second practice session now. They'll run soft tyres when we get to qualifying, but they might want to try out the hards, and some of them will potentially use that 1 set of mediums in free practice as well, although you're not going to get any useful information from those. It might just be the fact that you want to save the tyres. In fact, quite a few of them are running on the medium tyres at this stage of free practice. You know it's a medium tyre because it's got a yellow sidewall. If it's the soft tyre, it's a white sidewall, and if it's the hard tyre, it's the red sidewall on the cars. Reminder of the championship standings: Ash Sutton leading the championship despite only having one win this season, but he has had podiums in the vast majority of the races. So one win, but 2 seconds and 6 third place finishes so far for Ash Sutton. He leads the championship, the 4-time champion, on 169 points, youngest ever 4-time champion, looking to become the first ever 5-time British Touring Car champion. Andy Rouse, Ash Sutton and Colin Turkington, the ones that have won 4. So we've got 2 of the most successful drivers in the history of the championship in terms of titles won on the grid this weekend. Colin Turkington and Ash Sutton. Ash Sutton leads on 169 points. He's only 5 points clear of Jake Hill, who's the form driver with 4 wins out of the last 6 races at Snetterton and Thruxton. He's got 164. He's 5 behind. There's 67 points up for grabs, including a point for pole position. We've got Tom Ingram, the 2022 champion, who won 2 races at the start of the year. Got 2 podiums last time out at Thruxton. He's 3rd on 155. He's only 14 points off the championship lead. Colin Turkington has had 2 wins at Brands Hatch this year. He's 4th on 136 points, 33 points adrift. And Dan Camish is 5th in the championship, and Josh Cook is in 6th place. That's the Drivers' Championship. The Independence Trophy, it's been battled out between the 2 Powermax drivers. The Evans-Helshaw Powermax pairing of Aaron Taylor-Smith and Mikey Doble have won all of the Independence Trophy races so far this year between them, which is why there's only 10 points between them. Aaron Taylor-Smith has the edge at the moment on 222 points, 212 points for his teammate. 8 wins to 4 currently, with a bit more consistency on podium duties for Mikey Doble, keeping him within touch. The Jack Sears Trophy, named after the first ever British Touring Car Champion, or British Saloon Car Champion as it was then, Jack Sears. That is battled out between any driver who at the start of the season hadn't finished on the podium before. Mikey Doble is leading the way. Andrew Watson won it last year. He's racing this year with Toyota Gazoo Racing in their home race this weekend. But Mikey Doble leads it this year on 220 points, the Astra driver, with Ronan Pearson 2nd on 180, only 24 points behind him, and Sam Osborne 3rd in the standings. And then looking at qualifying this year, which is what we're going to think about later on this afternoon. Pole positions this year: Tom Ingram was on pole at Donington, Colin Turkington was on pole at Brands Hatch, Jake Hill was on pole at Snetterton, and Tom Ingram was the first double pole sitter of the year when he got pole position at Thruxton, though he wasn't able to win a race in the end. Jake Hill has put some decent early lap times in, 125.784 for the Later Tools MB Motorsport BMW driver. Josh Cook, who was only 16th in the first session, is 2nd at the moment, 126.084. They're not mega lap times these, but he's 2nd at the moment. Aidan Moffat 3rd. Aidan Moffat took a long time to put a lap time in the first session, but when he did, he went into the top 8. Tom Chilton early doors is 4th, with Ronan Pearson 5th, Andrew Watson 6th. There have been lap times as well from Adam Morgan, Mikey Doble and Nick Halstead, but nobody else has yet set a lap time. So you haven't seen a proper lap time from Tom Ingram or Dan Rowbottom or Dan Camish, Aaron Taylor-Smith, Ash Sutton, Colin Turkington. None of those have put a proper lap time in yet. They've been darting in and out of the pits, but have not yet gone for it lap time wise. Remember, the top 7 in the championship, when we get to qualifying, will have a reduced amount of hybrid. So if you're not in the top 7 in the championship, you get to use hybrid, that extra 60 horsepower when you deliver the battery power into the engine, get an extra 60 brake horsepower, and you can use it in qualifying for 15 seconds per lap, wherever you like on the lap, for up to a maximum of 15 seconds. But if you are the championship leader, Ash Sutton, you only get 1 second per lap, and then it goes down in 2-second increments for the top 7 in the championship. So 2nd in the championship only gets 3 seconds per lap. That's Jake Hill. Tom Ingram, 3rd in the championship, will only get 5 seconds per lap. 4th in the championship, Colin Turkington will get 7 seconds of hybrid in qualifying per lap. Dan Camish and Josh Cook, 5th and 6th in the championship, will get 9 and 11 seconds respectively. And then 7th in the championship, Adam Morgan will only get to use his hybrid for 13 seconds per lap. So Ash Sutton only 1 second per lap qualifying. It hasn't held him back so far this season, having either been 1st or 2nd in the championship. He's had 1 or 3 seconds worth of hybrid in qualifying, but he still keeps getting into the quick 6 somehow, although he only scraped through both parts of qualifying 1 and qualifying 2 at Thruxton, but he did get through and he ended up 5th quickest. But here might be the place, with all of its hills and rises, that you need that extra hybrid, and it really makes a difference. So we'll see how it pans out, you won't know from free practice, because you can use the hybrid where you want really, and as much as you want. There are no limitations, even if you're in the top 7 in the championship. And when we get to the race 1 tomorrow, the top 7 in the championship will also get to use it for less racing laps than everybody else as well. So that will be another factor to bear in mind. It's not just about how much you can use it as well, it's about the minimum speed you could get to. So for the majority of the field, when they get to 115 kilometers an hour, they can pull the trigger and use the hybrid. But if you are first, second or third in the championship, you have to wait till you get to 135 kilometers an hour, another 20 kilometers an hour speed, which is about 14 miles an hour more, before you can pull the trigger. So for example, if you're coming out of the island hairpin, you've got to wait and wait and wait going up the hilltop, another few seconds longer than everybody else before you can pull it. So 115 kilometers an hour for everybody outside the top 7, but 135 for the top 3. You've got to get to 130 if you're 4th and 5th in the championship. You've got to get to 125 kilometers an hour if you're 6th or 7th in the championship. We all know when they're using the hybrid, because that's when the blue light flashes in the rear side screens on the cars. All right, Dan Camish has gone to the top of the times in this session with a 1:25.347. So best lap in free practice 1 set by Aaron Taylor-Smith earlier on was a 1:24.922. So we're not there yet, but that's pretty good, 0.4 of a second away. Tom Ingram has gone early again. He's second quickest, 1:25.405. And there's only 58 thousandths of a second between those two. Ash Sutton is third, 1:25.551. Fourth is Jake Hill, 1:25.784. Rob Huff is in fifth, 1:25.945 in the number 12 Toyota. And then sixth is Colin Turkington with a 1:25.948. So the top 4 in the championship are all up there in the top 6 in free practice 2 at the moment. They've got to keep an eye on track limits, especially coming out of Old Hall Corner, turn 1, where lots of them were running 4 wheels beyond the curbs in that first session and losing lap times as a result of that. And Aidan Moffat, who was one of the most spectacular drivers to Old Hall, is about to go through that corner now in his Toyota. New car to him this year, new team to him this year, but he stays well within the lines this time round as he goes down through the avenue and downhill into Cascades. Just going over the line now is Dan Rowbottom, and he's just gone third quickest with that. Second quickest this morning, third quickest at the moment in the number 32 blue and yellow Napa Racing Ford Focus for the driver from Kidderminster in the Midlands, former Clio Cup front runner, and several seasons now in BTCC. First year was with Sicily in the Mercedes as teammate to Adam Morgan, if you remember. Rob Huff, multiple World Touring Car Champion race winner and World Touring Car Championship title winner, going through turn 1 at the moment. He's improved his time up to 5th place now for him, ahead of Jake Hill with that. So he goes through. There's an improvement as well for Chris Smiley, back in the British Touring Car Championship this year. The last ever touring car driver to win a race at Rockingham before that ceased to be used as a motor racing circuit. And his previous run through the championship has since become another touring car champion since then in TCR a couple of years ago. Nick Halstead with his rebuilt car going through now, still not quite 100% but not far off. Still a few aches and pains from his big crash at Goodwood at Thruxton last time out, a couple of weeks ago. Ronan Pearson heading back out onto the circuit. Dan Camish has just done the absolute best first sector time, 24.7 seconds through the first sector. He's 0.3 down on the second sector best time though. The second sector is the longest sector, which takes in that run through Island Bends and over Hilltop, through Hislops, through Knickerbrook, up Clay Hill. So got to get that one right, because that's the longer sector. And the third sector is the shortest sector in terms of time, at least. It takes in really quick section through Druids and Lodge, and he comes through there and was a bit down, not much down in that sector. So overall the lap time was a 1:25.5, which was his second best lap time of the session. Tom Ingram about to roll back out onto the track as into the pit lane with his gold wing mirrors. Reigning champion Ash Sutton brings it in. So yeah, Ash Sutton has been a race winner here, but not for a while. It's not been his happiest hunting ground. He was on pole position in the Ford Focus for Napa Racing last year, but he's only won once here, and he hasn't won a race at Oulton Park since 2020 when he was driving the rear-wheel drive Infinity on his way to the title that year. In the last 5 years, Colin Turkington's had the most wins, 3 in the last 5 years, 1 last year, 2 in 2019. Jake Hill won twice here last year, and Tom Ingram won twice here in 2022. And Tom Ingram has had 4 podiums out of his last 6 races at Oulton Park.
The significant thing about Colin and Oulton Park was that when he won the title in 2018, this was the only win he had all year.
Yeah, that's right.
Still won the title, but 1 win at Oulton Park.
That was the one. Yeah, absolutely right. Just the consistency they had was epic that year, though, wasn't it? All those podium finishes and almost 100% in the top 6, wasn't he? Which was what you need to do.
It
30-round championship.
It really was a textbook in how to win a championship through consistency that year.
Yeah, he's certainly that, isn't he? But he can get his elbows out when he needs to, that's for sure. But he knows how to score the points to make the most of his situation. He uses that experience, all of that experience, doesn't he? When he's on the back foot a bit to go, okay, I don't need to win the race, I just need to move forward and pick up some points.
Which is kind of the attitude that Ash has had this year. You know, how many races was it when he was on the podium for every single race? No wins, but just constantly picking up those points, which means so much. He's a racer through and through, is Ash, and it was a few years ago that he said he didn't like that going for points. He wanted to activate full Ash mode at some stage, and was able to do so, but only once he'd secured the title.
Yeah, and when he does, he unleashes it, doesn't he? We've seen it a few times. We saw it a couple of times at Brands Hatch as well, getting his elbows out, but also knowing that, you know, if I can't win, that's okay. I can pick up a 3rd or a 4th. I'll get those points, but when a chance comes, I will go for it, and I'll win a race as he did for the first time this season at Thruxton last time out, just about to stay ahead of Jake Hill in the championship fight. Colin Turkington, whose first season in the championship was in 2002. Incredible that, isn't it? His debut in 2002 in the Team Atomic Kitten MG ZS, if you remember that. Had a best finish that year of 3rd at Croft, but since then, what a career. 69 race wins, 184 podiums, 28 pole positions, and tomorrow he'll start his 552nd race in the championship. Just an incredible career for Colin Turkington, and the next generation are coming up now as well. His young son, when he's not racing touring cars, he's with his son, who's a very keen autograss racer, and can be seen around the country taking part in those meetings as well. So top 3 are all in the pits now. Dan Rowbottom, Dan Camish and Tom Ingram. Ash Sutton is 4th. Jake Hill popped himself up to 5th place on his last lap with a 1:25.594. 4/10 away.
I told you not to worry about the Toyotas too soon, didn't I? Because Huffy's doing all right now.
He is, yeah. He is 6th. He was 6th, because over the line goes Ronan Pearson to demote him to 7th place. So Ronan Pearson,
who I reckon is going to be one to watch this weekend, Ronan.
Yeah, he's getting better and better and better, and he was pretty good to start with, wasn't he, Ronan Pearson? He had some big highs last year. As I say, he absolutely challenged for a podium at Dollington, got on the podium till the result was taken away, and would have been on the podium had he not had to give his position up at Knock Hill, his home circuit, last August to Tom Ingram. But got that win on a reverse grid race, even though he wasn't in the lead at the start of the race. Started on pole. Aaron Taylor-Smith got him at the start, but he didn't stay ahead of him for very long, did he? He muscled his way back through, as Matt James was saying earlier on, and made sure he won that race. So Ronan Pearson, a race winner now, and a 1:25.624 for him last time around. Half a second or so, covering the top 8 in this session as it stands. Rowbottom is quickest, Camish is 2nd, Ingram 3rd, Sutton 4th, Hill 5th, Pearson 6th, Huff 7th, Turkington 8th, Morgan is 9th, Doble is 10th, Cook 11th, Moffat 12th, Chilton 13th, De Leon 14th, and then it's Taylor Smith who's quickest this morning. He's 15th at the moment, Smiley 16th, Watson 17th, and then Osborne, Sumpton and Halstead rounding out the top 20. As Aaron Taylor-Smith is about to head back out in his Evans Halshaw Powermax Vauxhall. Really good couple of seasons for Adam Weaver's team, and as he said to Alan this morning, Aaron Taylor-Smith, saying that second season with the team, that familiarity with how the team works, how I work as a driver, is really starting to gel this year as well. Dan Rowbottom is about to go back out as well, as his teammate Ash Sutton charges on the other side of the barriers into turn 1 at Holt Hall Corner, looking pretty determined. So he attacks the curbs as he comes out through The exit to Old Hall Corner goes down through the avenue, down into Cascades, gets on the gas and accelerates away now towards Island Bend. So he's looking pretty feisty, Ash Sutton. His last lap wasn't a particularly quick one, but I think he's firing it up on this one, so keep an eye on his times in the number 1 car. As it's a pretty empty pit lane actually. You've just got Josh Cook and Dan Camish down here. I think that's it. I think you've got 17 of the 20 cars out on track, because we've also got Mikey Doble coming in and Sam Osborne comes in as well, but most of them out there on track. Right, how is Ash Sutton getting on? 24.8 through the first sector, which is 2/10 down on the best first sector time. Absolute best first sector though for Tom Ingram. So Tom Ingram has just gone through into Island Bend, a hairpin, making his way out through there in the number 80 Hyundai i30N, and with the absolute best first sector time of 24.547 seconds. So he's on a push lap here, a qualifying type run for Ingram. He's going to have a bit more hybrid available than he has in some of the other qualifying sessions. Dan Camish goes out for Napa, in comes, very synchronised this, Osborne, and the other two are on the other side of the barriers going into Old Hall Corner on the track. Ash Sutton's lap time there was, he backed off in the end, big time through the final sector. So keeping an eye on Tom Ingram though, absolute best in the second sector as well. This could be the fastest time potentially of the day so far, certainly of the session. Could be into the 124s for Tom Ingram, who is about to come charging through, try and move himself up the order from third place. Over the line he comes, and he goes to the top of the times, and he is well into the 124s with that 124.7. So that is the fastest lap of the day so far across the two sessions for Tom Ingram. 124.719. He is 4/10 quicker than anybody else in this session. 4/10 quicker than Dan Rowbottom in second, 6/10 quicker than Dan Camish in third, and 8/10 quicker than the championship leader Ash Sutton, who's there in fourth place. So feeling like there's a bit more urgency about this session now in terms of getting things set up for qualifying. And Aidan Moffat pops himself up to third place as well. 125.308 in the number 16 LKQ Euro car parts with Cinetic Toyota Corolla, also run by Christian Dick Speedworks team, the team from Northwich just down the road. And his teammate with the bright pink wing mirrors on that similar liveried grey and yellow car. The Toyota goes back out now, Josh Cook. So Josh Cook, who's a solid but only a solid start to the season so far. 6th place in the standings, and 3 podiums, a second at Brands Hatch, 2/3 at Snetterton, 3 top 6 finishes at Thruxton. That's the second season now where he hasn't won a race at Thruxton, and he'd won races in consecutive seasons for a long time, 6 or 7 seasons, at least winning 1 race at Thruxton, his circuit, but wasn't quite there, the car this year. So 5th, 6th and 6th for Josh, but it has been in all but 1 race, a point scoring start to the season for Josh Cook so far, with points in 11 out of the 12 races. And last year's Independence champion pushing on. Adam Morgan also pushing on, has gone into 5th place in the BMW, car number 33, 125.419 seconds, his second season as a team BMW driver with Dick Bennett's team, West Surrey Racing. Tom Ingram still, though, the one to beat by some distance, 124.646 seconds. He's gone even quicker on that lap, got another 10th out of it, so he's half a second up now in free practice 2 on Dan Rowbottom, half a second up on the next best driver. It's normally half a second between about 6 cars in at the top of the timesheets, but that's a huge margin, and that will give him huge confidence going into the qualifying session later on. Tom Ingram fastest by half a second, the only driver in the 124s in this session. Watch out though, because Dan Camish is about to head back out on track. He's leaving the pit lane. Ronan Pearson is leaving the pit lane. We're going to see Nick Halstead going out shortly as well. So we've got how long left? 11 minutes 17 seconds left in the session. And at the moment it's reasonably busy in the pit lane, a few coming in as well. So again, about this stage where it gets a bit quieter out on track for a couple of minutes, and then you can guarantee it will get very busy at the end of the session. They'll also get the practice starts at the end of free practice too as well.
Yeah, there are new tyres being brandished about in pit lane now, so it is that time that we'll see cars coming into pit lane, having tyres popped on and getting ourselves ready for qualifying this afternoon.
Yeah, exactly right. Keep an eye on what tyres they're running now as well. Lots of them will switch on the medium. Sam Osborne's still on the medium, the yellow sidewall tyre, as he goes through. Colin Turkington looks like he's on the softs to me with a white sidewall.
I've seen mainly softs today. Yeah.
Still a few of the mediums. This is how mediums they get. And Jake Hill's putting the mediums back on. And I think Tom Ingram's got mediums on as well. Tom Chilton's just dropped off the air jacks. And he's on the soft tyre. Josh Cook has to wait for Tom to get out of the way. He comes down the pit lane as Tommy's reversed out, so Josh has to wait for him, and they'll be together as they go onto the track. It's a
reasonably tight pit lane, this, and
yes.
You've got to be a little bit thoughtful about coming in and leaving the pit lane. It's you've got to be a bit sporting about this.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, because it's very easy to come together with somebody, isn't it? It's quite narrow. This not quite as narrow as the Croft when we get there. That's a really narrow pit lane.
No.
But yeah, you're right. You have to be aware of everything that's going on around you, especially when you're being released back out into the pit lane apron, if you like.
New soft tyres on Aidan Moffat's car. I've just watched go on.
Yes.
So he's down pit lane, about to rejoin.
Yeah, which means he might be going for a quick lap here. He's already third. Mikey Doble has just crossed the line and got second quickest. 125.117 for Mikey. The driver second in the Independence Championship behind his teammates Aaron Taylor-Smith. So 125.117. That's still just under half a second slower than Tom Ingram. But a good lap puts him 43 thousandths clear of Dan Rowbottom, who's in the pits at the moment, down to third. Aidan Moffat down to fourth. Dan Camish down to fifth. Adam Morgan down to 6th place. Ash Sutton is 7th. Jake Hill is 8th. Then Ronan Pearson and Rob Huff rounding out the top 10. Tom Ingram going back out, and he is now switched to the soft tyre. So he's on the soft. Rob Huff is definitely on the soft tyre. He's going to be going out right behind Tom Ingram in the number 12 Toyota Gazoo Racing Corolla with 8.5 minutes left on the clock. Dan Camish goes over the line to start potentially a push lap with Tom Chilton right behind him, and Ronan Pearson in the next Bristol Street Motors car going through as well in the Hyundai. And then Josh Cook charging into quite a bit of commitment into Old Hall Corner as well.
You know, we played this game. I'm sure everyone plays this game. Who's going to be on pole position this afternoon? We normally try and play it before the cars have turned a wheel in free practice. And I said this morning, can we not wait until we've had free practice? Do you know what? I'm no wiser now.
You know?
It could be any one of a dozen, couldn't it?
Yeah, and it's even more difficult to predict now. We've got this new format, isn't it? Because you've got a very 10-minute session. You've only
There's
really
jeopardy in the first session.
A couple of laps, aren't you, to get it right?
Yep, exactly that. So no, I've absolutely no idea.
You might even add Tom Chilton's name to the list. He's just on the absolute best first sector time. So he's only 16th at the moment. If he keeps this up, he ain't going to be 16th for long. He's done a personal best through the second sector, which is 32.4. A couple of tenths down on the best second sector 2 time. But this is going to be a lap which ought to pop him well up into the top 5, maybe even higher than that, depending on how it goes through Druids, through Lodge, and on the run to the line. So Tom Chilton, we wait for. Tom Ingram, his teammate, still quickest, goes through, having completed an out lap. Here comes Tom Chilton then. It goes over the line. Should be a big improvement. It is. He goes second quickest with that. 124.710. So now Tom Ingram has not got the nice big cushion anymore in this session, because he's only 64 thousandths of a second clear of Tom Chilton. 6 3/4 minutes to go. Now you start to turn your attention to who might be in which group. Odd numbers and even numbers. So odd numbers at the moment are Ingram, Doble, Moffat, Morgan, Hill, Huff, Taylor Smith, Smiley, Osborne and Sumpton. They'd be in one group, and then in the other, if it stayed like this, it probably won't, but if it stayed like this, you'd have Chilton, Rowbottom, Camish, Sutton, Pearson, Watson, Turkington, he's only 14th at the moment, De Leon, Cook, 18th at the moment, and Halstead in the other group. So the championship front runners, the top 4, you'd have quite a few of them bunched together, wouldn't you? You'd have Turkington, and Sutton in the same group as each other, and you'd have Ingram, who's quickest at the moment. You'd have Doble, you'd have Moffat, you'd have Morgan, and Hill. You'd be with Hill, so split really.
I like this. I like this. We've got a double BTCC champion listening online to our broadcast this morning. He wants to play the game as well.
Yes.
John Clennan's getting involved, and he said there's absolutely no doubt about this afternoon. Tom Ingram will be on pole. Now that's nailing your colours to the mast, isn't it? That's a confident prediction by John.
It's a sensible one, though, isn't it? I don't think you could
no,
argue
it's a really
too hard against
one.
that, because he's looked good. I mean, he banged that quick lap in right at the start of free practice one, then just went about his business, and then he did another quick one at the start of this session, and he's since gone quicker. So yeah, and he won't have all the hybrid in the world available to him, but he's not a championship leader either, so he's going to have a bit more than he has had in the past.
John has not just entered the competition, he's also given us reasons for it.
Yeah.
He's very consistent and he's fired up at the moment. So, yep, not a bad shout.
Well, he's had 2 poles this year already, but he's also had an 8th and a 13th. And has struggled when he's been seriously hampered as a top 2 runner in the championship, with a lack of hybrid at Brands Hatch, where he only qualified 8th, and Snetterton he only qualified 13th. So.
Yeah, and wasn't it at Snetterton that he said to me, no, that's all right, we'll start 7th. And I didn't know if he was joking because he didn't quite understand there was another group about to go out and that it wouldn't be 7th. Or was he serious? I didn't know. We never got to the bottom of it. But yeah, that was a really tricky weekend of qualifying for Tom, which we've seen because we now have jeopardy in qualifying, don't we?
Absolutely, yeah. No, a lot can go wrong very quickly in these qualifying sessions. Best qualifier of the year so far, averaging 3rd place, which is fairly ridiculous given that he's almost always had either 1 or 3 seconds of hybrid, and that's it in qualifying. He's Ash Sutton. He's had a 2nd, a 4th, a 2nd, and a 5th. So he's made it through to the quick 6 every time. And, well, as we've said, this one might be the one where it might be more of a struggle than the other circuits. At the moment, he's in 10th place in this session, but you know he's going to get quicker. You know he's going to be absolutely pushing like crazy in qualifying, and you definitely know you can't rule him out yet. He's about to go into Old Hall Corner, and I've talked him up to 4th place. He's gone 4th quickest with that. So 124.768. Only 58 thousandths behind Tom Chilton. Tom is only 64 thousandths behind Tom Ingram, and Tom Ingram is no longer fastest because Dan Rowbottom, while we've been talking about all the scenarios, has gone to the top of the times in free practice 2 with a 124.536, the new quickest lap of the day so far. So 124.536 for Dan Rowbottom. That puts him a whole 1/10 of a second up on Tom Ingram. We've also had an improvement for Darryl De Leon, who's put himself up to 14th place. So with 2 3/4 minutes to go, Rowbottom quickest. What about Dan Rowbottom for pole position? That wouldn't be a bad chat, would it? Tom Ingram 2nd, Tom Chilton 3rd, Ash Sutton 4th, Dan Camish 5th, Mikey Doble 6th, Rob Huff 7th, Aidan Moffat 8th, Andrew Watson 9th, faring better now, 10th Adam Morgan, 11th Jake Hill. Hasn't really shown too much pace yet, has he, in the sessions, Jake? But 12th place is Ronan Pearson, 13th Aaron Taylor-Smith, 14th Darryl De Leon, 15th Colin Turkington, 15th. Should we worry? Smiley 16th, Osborne 17th, Cook 18th. Again, should we worry about that? Sumpton 19th and Halstead 20th. And Adam Morgan has just improved. When I get to the end of the list, he's gone up from 10th to 7th in the BMW with a 125.144. 7/10 of a second covering the top 10 now. It's going to be tight when we get to qualifying this afternoon, starting at 3:35. Ash Sutton stays out, puts in a slower lap that time around. He's got a clear track ahead of him. Chris Smiley's about to rejoin with only 1 minute and 3/4 to go. Dan Rowbottom comes in, but they might go out and do a practice start. So Dan Rowbottom looking good. Rowbottom's qualifying this year has not been the best, but he was 4th, which is his best of the season last time out at Snetterton. 14th at Donington in qualifying, 6th at Brands Hatch, 10th then for the 3rd weekend of the season at Snetterton, and 4th, not at Snetterton, 4th last time out at Thruxton was his best. Does like Thruxton, doesn't he, Dan? So he'll be looking for his first pole position of the season if he can do it as well. He's definitely put his name in the hat with 2 strong performances in both free practice sessions, and indeed he is going to be released back out onto the circuit to not get a lap in, but to be out there to get a practice start, which they'll all do at the end of this free practice session. So that shuffles it up. That means that now, because Rowbottom's gone fastest, Ingram is second. It means that Ingram and Sutton will be in the same group as one another of the championship contenders. And Hill will also be in that group. He's 12th quickest at the moment. So of the top 4 in the championship, you'd have 3 of them in the same group in the first part of qualifying, with only 6 places available. And Colin Turkington, as the other top 4 contender in the championship, will be in the separate group because he's 15th. He's an odd number at the moment. So Rowbottom, Chilton, Camish, Morgan, Moffat, Watson, Pearson, Turkington, Osborne and Sumpton in one group, all the others in the other. As it stands, might change though. 8 seconds to go. Everybody's on their last lap, or about to be. Just squeezing another one in. In fact, it's going to be Tom Ingram. That might be good timing. Scott Sumpton just squeezed through as well before the flag came out. So they're going into Old Hall Corner. The flag is now out. Keep an eye on Tom. Is he going to push it on his final lap or not? Well, absolute best first sector has just gone to Ash Sutton, 24.434 seconds. So he is pushing hard. At the moment, his best time is 2/10 down on the best time of the session. But it could shuffle things up if he moves out of an even numbered position. It could mix things up for the group. It's very hard to manipulate which group you end up in, isn't it? But he probably, if he could avoid being in the same group as Ingram and Hill, he wouldn't mind that. So it's an incentive to push on. Aaron Taylor-Smith, though, right at the end of the session, puts in his best lap and goes 3rd quickest from 2/3 of the way down the order. So 1st and 3rd in the 2 free practice sessions as it stands for Aaron Taylor-Smith. So that shuffles it up again. 2/10 down in the middle sector for Ash Sutton, but he was quickest of all in the first sector. So he's 5th at the moment, but he might improve his lap time if it holds together through the last sector. We're about to find out whether he does or not as the Napa Racing Ford Focus comes over the line, and the answer is no, he doesn't. 125.7. He backed right off at the end. Well, that last sector did a 29. It should be 27 seconds through that final sector. So Rowbottom quickest in free practice 2, Ingram 2nd, Taylor-Smith 3rd, Chilton 4th, Sutton 5th, Camish 6th, Morgan 7th, Doble in 8th, Huff was 9th, Moffat 10th, Watson 11th, Hill 12th, Pearson 13th, De Leon 14th, Turkington 15th, Smiley 16th, Osborne 17th, Cook was 18th, Sumpton was 19th and Halstead was 20th. Rowbottom's best lap time, the best lap time of the day so far, 124.536, 0.110 seconds quicker than Tom Ingram, who did a 124.646, and then Tom was only 15 thousandths of a second clear of Aaron Taylor-Smith, who did a 124.661 and a 124.7s then for Chilton and Sutton in 4th and 5th. So the groups for qualifying, in the first part of qualifying, they'll be split based on whether you were odd or even in this session. And so odd numbers, in one group you'll have Dan Rowbottom, Aaron Taylor-Smith, Ash Sutton, Adam Morgan, Rob Huff, Andrew Watson, Ronan Pearson, Colin Turkington, Sam Osborne and Scott Sumpton. In the other group you'll have Tom Ingram, Tom Chilton, Dan Camish, Mikey Doble, Aidan Moffat, Jake Hill, Daryl De Leon, Chris Smiley, Josh Cook and Nick Halstead. So make of that what you will, but of the top 4 in the championship, 2 have ended up in one group, 2 in the other, with Ingram and Hill ending up together and Sutton and Turkington ending up in the other group. So that's all to look forward to at 3:35. Meanwhile, if you...
Yeah, absolutely. Hello everyone, hope you enjoyed that session. You will be redirected to Formula 2 sprint race, which is about to start in a couple of minutes time. That stream getting underway. As Chris said, you can join us at 3:30 qualifying. The session starts at 3:35, but it's time for the Formula 2 sprint race, which you will be redirected to, and we hope that we see you there. Goodbye.